Today on Mother Mayhem, healing and regulating your nervous systems and having better relationships with yourselves is going to be all about finding what works for you, one step at a time. Welcome back to Mother Mayhem, the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Podcast for Daughters. I'm your host, Heather Gray. And as this episode drops, you're saying goodbye to 2024 and are welcoming in 2025. Clark and I want to wish you a very happy new year. As you reflect on the year that was, I know it has been transformative for many of you. Some of you found this little show that could and began piecing your lives together in a way that finally makes sense. Others of you dove deep into therapy, perhaps started it for the first time, or you made some big, courageous changes. Some of you are amazed at how far you've come. Others feel frustrated, focusing only on how far there is left to go. I know many of you thought that once the why of it all made sense, the reasons behind how you feel and act, it would be easier to move forward. Yet the work can feel harder than expected. In this community, we have daughters who made the brave decision to go low or no contact with their moms, and others are still navigating what that might mean for them. We have siblings who have come together in healing, while others have grown apart, shaped by differing experiences of the same family. Some of you fought fiercely to set boundaries, and you won a few battles, and some of you didn't win any at all. Others of you are working to approach relationships with more truth, more authenticity, and you're discovering both the new joys and those new challenges that come along with that process. Many of you embarked on incredibly powerful journeys of self-discovery, exploring who you are for the first time. Some of you, you're just beginning to understand your family dynamics, and you might feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of it all. And then there are those who've known the truth for years, but feel stuck in a cycle of acknowledgement without really seeing or feeling any significant change. I know a lot of you are grappling with really complicated feelings about your moms. You're managing love and longing and nostalgia, and it's all alongside anger, resentment, and even indifference. You're working to hold these sort of opposing truths, and you're trying to do it without guilt because, as we've learned, two feelings can be true at the same time. For some of you, this holiday season has been especially difficult. It's brought up triggers and flashbacks, and yet you're here, and you're learning to navigate all of this in healthier ways. Some of you are coming here celebrating some really big wins, while others, you're holding on pretty tight to the smaller wins. And we know that those little wins will add up to much bigger victories down the lane. Wherever you are on this particular path, you're part of this community of women around the world who have been striving to make sense of their past while stepping into a brighter future. I'm glad to be spending this time with you today, and I'm happy to be welcoming in 2025 with all of you together. I am really glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to our next year together. At this time of year, it seems like everyone is talking about New Year's resolutions. And I have to admit, I'm a resolution girl. I'm someone who has done pretty well with resolutions in the past. For me, they can be really powerful tools for change. But also, we know that when you're healing from maternal narcissistic child abuse, it's not always that simple. In fact, it rarely is. There are going to be so many areas of your lives that are demanding your time, your attention, and your care. And none of them are ever going to be able to be reduced to a single trite resolution. Trying to boil it all down in that kind of way, well, it's going to set you up for some pretty unrealistic expectations, and it runs the risk of oversimplifying what for so many of you is a deeply personal, meaningful, and complicated process. Instead, I want to bring us all back to where this podcast began. In the very first episodes, I shared 2 guiding principles that I believe remain the priority no matter where you are in your healing journey. First, it's about working toward a better relationship with yourselves, and then working towards having better relationships with the people in your lives and your loved ones. These aren't the quick fixes. They're not neatly packaged goals. They are lifelong commitments to living with more truth, more authenticity, and more connection. And I hope that as you reflect on the 70 plus conversations we've shared, I can't even believe I'm saying that. I hope you see these 2 guiding principles, the better relationship with yourself and the better relationships with other people. I hope you see that they remain at the heart of everything we're trying to do here. These themes are central to my focus, and they're going to continue to be so in the coming year. Every episode, every insight, and every piece of advice I give you here on Mayhem in 2025 is going to be designed with one goal in mind: to help you deepen your connection to yourself and to create healthier, more authentic relationships with those around you. And as we step into this new year together, I want to take a moment to expand the conversation about what it truly means to have a better relationship with yourself. One area that I believe needs more attention, and one that has certainly not gotten enough airtime around here, is your relationship with your nervous system. For so many of you, the challenge isn't going to just be about being triggered in these random, isolated moments. For a lot of you here, it's about living with chronic dysregulation, where your body and your mind end up being in this near constant state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. That isn't just emotionally exhausting. It affects how you think, how you feel, how you connect with other people. And it's a struggle that ends up making even the smallest tasks feel monumental, and it leaves you feeling disconnected from yourself, not to mention from the lives you're trying to build. This year, I want to invite in and fully welcome that conversation. I want to create a space for us to explore what it looks like to regulate your nervous systems, to understand and respond to its cues with compassion, and to help you build a sense of safety within yourselves. Healing isn't just about understanding your past. It's about learning to live in your present. And that is going to start with nurturing a healthier relationship with your body and the signals it offers you. When we talk about healing from maternal narcissistic abuse, we often end up focusing on the emotional and psychological aspects, helping you understand your past, helping you process your feelings, reshaping your relationships. But there is that other layer to your healing, and it is just as important, and it is often overlooked: your nervous system. I want you to think about your nervous system as your body's operating system. It's what helps you respond to stress, it helps you process your emotions, and it helps you interact with the world around you. And ideally, it functions a little bit like a flexible rubber band. When stress comes your way, your nervous system stretches to handle it. And then in an ideal time, it returns you to a state of calm and balance. But a lot of you listening, especially those of you who grew up in chaotic or emotionally unsafe environments, your nervous systems, they never got that chance to learn how to develop that kind of flexibility. So instead of bouncing back, for all of you, your nervous systems ended up getting stretched out and stuck in that state of chronic stress. Maybe you feel on edge all the time, exhausted, but you find yourself a little bit unable to rest. And it might also feel like every single one of your emotions is always just below the surface, ready to spill over or take over at any moment in time. And that's what we call chronic dysregulation. And chronic dysregulation shows up in your lives in so many different ways. It might look like anxiety that never, ever really goes away. It could be constant overthinking, or it might be that sinking feeling of being overwhelmed by even the smallest challenges. And it shows up in your body with headaches, stomach aches, tight muscles, and that all too familiar feeling of having a racing heart. It's not just about being triggered in those big moments. It's about feeling like your body is always in that state of alarm, even when there isn't any immediate danger. Now, the good news here is this: your nervous systems, they can heal. Just as you've been working on healing your mind and your relationships, you can begin creating a healthier, calmer connection with your bodies. It's going to be about learning to recognize when your nervous system is dysregulated and then using tools to gently bring it back into balance. It's going to be about creating moments of safety for yourselves. And little by little, you will build that safety until it feels real and consistently reliable. In the year ahead, I really want to dive into this with you. We're going to explore ways that you can notice those signs of dysregulation, and we're going to help you calm your nervous system. And you're going to learn ways of building that internal safety that a lot of you never had a shot at growing up with. Healing your nervous system is going to be a powerful step towards having that better relationship with yourself. And while that's a much bigger conversation for all of the months to come, it's one that I am starting to feel ready to lead. And I want us to start right now. No time like the present. Now, here's something I want to share with you. I've been thinking a lot about my own growth as the leader of mayhem, for lack of a better description. Over the past few months, as I've been learning more and more about nervous system healing, I realized something pretty important. I owe y'all a little bit of an apology of sorts. I don't know if apology is the right word. Acknowledgement is probably far more accurate. When I first stepped into this work with all of you, I leaned heavily on the tools that I had been trained in years ago, the tools I knew like the back of my hand. Back then, I was trained in all things cognitive behavioral therapy. There wasn't that much emphasis on the nervous system at all, or on how trauma lives in the body. And then I took some time away from the field of therapy. And when I came back, I have to be honest, I didn't take that much time to update my approach with any sort of advancements in the field. And I didn't really work to increase my understanding of trauma. I just jumped right back into what I knew: good old fashioned cognitive behavioral therapy. And that is still a solid framework. And truth is, the field has also moved forward. Trauma work today is about much more than your thoughts and your behaviors. It's about understanding the nervous system and the way your bodies experience trauma. So, as we welcome in 2025 together, I want you to know this. The emphasis moving forward will be on integrating the newer understandings that I'm learning into our work together because you all deserve the absolute best tools available for your healing. And that's the conversation we're starting right now. Because it's 2025 and we're heading into the new year, I want to take a quick second to offer you something new that I don't think I've ever talked about on the show because it's fairly new to me. But my clients are getting some really good results with this one. This is called a butterfly hug, and it's a self-soothing technique that you can use. And the psychobabble word for it is bilateral stimulation. It calms your nervous system. And here's how it works. So first, I'm going to need you to cross your arms over your chest so that your fingertips rest just below your collarbones. Make sure that your hands that they're flat against your chest. And then slowly and gently tap one hand on your chest and then the other hand, like the fluttering wings of a butterfly. And as you tap, focus on your breath. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. You can close your eyes or you can soften your gaze. Think perhaps of a calming image, a memory that you like holding on to, or a word if that feels comforting. That butterfly hug is going to be a way that you can connect with yourself both physically and emotionally. It's going to give you a sense of safety and calm in moments when you feel increasingly stressed. Healing and regulating your nervous systems and having better relationships with yourselves is going to be all about finding what works for you, one step at a time. We can't make clear decisions. We can't take any kinds of new or so-called empowered actions from a dysregulated place. It would be like trying to go to rehab when you're still drunk. Our bodies need to feel safe before we can do anything new. So we have to calm ourselves down before we can move forward. But I know that that is some tedious stuff sometimes. And it might feel too in the weeds for you. Because when I was learning about this stuff and doing some of the trainings on this, I kind of got myself in the weeds. Focusing on your nervous system, I gotta be honest with you, it doesn't sound like a sexy way to start the new year. It didn't feel that way to me when I was learning it. But we're diving in because we have really big goals to tackle and we need to set ourselves up for success. I'm going to be encouraging all of you to start to know yourselves more deeply in the coming year. I'm going to keep challenging all of you to accept yourselves as you are right now without judgment. And I'm going to be encouraging all of you to keep identifying what it is you truly need to feel safe, loved, and whole. You heard me talk a lot in 2024 about not abandoning yourselves. And trust me, we're keeping that conversation going in 2025. It's going to be a practice. It's going to take time and patience and a lot of self-compassion. And while I know that some of you listening right now are already in wise mind, ready to take action and tackle bigger goals, that is okay too. I feel you on that, and I've got you. As we enter 2025, here's what I want you to think about. Start by setting a foundation of self-awareness. Think of it like this. When you get into your car, the first thing you do is check the dashboard. You check the fuel, the oil, the temperature. You make sure everything's running smoothly before you hit the road. Same goes for your mind and your body. Before you start pushing toward new goals and new resolutions, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are you feeling centered, grounded, or are you perhaps running on empty, overwhelmed, or even feeling triggered? Self-awareness is the first step to self-care. And from there, you'll have a clearer sense of what you need to do next. Once you know where you are emotionally and physically, you can start making more intentional choices that align with your healing. It doesn't have to be huge or dramatic, but small daily steps that help honor where you are and support you where you want to go are going to be really important. As we kick off 2025, I encourage you to begin with awareness. Ask yourself, how am I really doing right now? Give yourself the time and space to answer honestly. And from that honest place, we're going to work together to create the foundation for a year of deeper connection with yourself and the people you care about the most. As we also dive into the other part of this year's focus, helping you have better relationships with yourselves, I want to start by acknowledging something that I think doesn't get enough airtime. Our nervous systems are interacting with each other all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. We're constantly picking up on those emotional and physical cues from those people around us. And those cues are affecting our own nervous systems. You've heard me talk before about the importance of attachment styles, and we will definitely be continuing to explore those. They are a big piece of how we relate to other people. In fact, that is where we're starting next week when we return to our first listener letter of 2025, a daughter who will be looking to better connect with her wife and her family. But what I want to focus on now is co-regulation, which is this idea that our nervous systems are in this kind of dance with one another, often without any kind of conscious effort. If you've ever been in a room with someone who's anxious or angry, and you have felt yourself becoming tense or unsettled, you know what I'm talking about here. Our nervous systems can be regulated by other people just as easily as they can become dysregulated by them. For example, when someone is calm, present, and grounded, it can help regulate your own nervous system. And that can make it easier to stay present and calm in difficult conversations. On the other hand, when someone's nervous system is chaotic or dysregulated, it can pull us into their emotional state without us even realizing it. So, as we work to improve our relationships with other people, we also need to raise our awareness of these nervous system interactions. We need to increase our sensitivity to the ways we respond physically and emotionally to other people's energy and to how they respond to ours. This isn't just going to be about learning to communicate better or understand attachment patterns. It's also about becoming more attuned to how our bodies feel in relation to others, and about learning how to protect and center ourselves in real moments of intensity. This is why this nervous system work, even though it sounds nerdy and maybe if you're anything like me, honestly, guys, I found it a little bit boring at times. I'm probably not supposed to say that, but I've also seen that it is so critical for improving your relationships with other people. When I have had clients get stuck and they haven't been able to move, it ends up being nervous system stupid. The more we can regulate our own internal state, the more we're going to be able to bring calm, grounded energy into our relationships. And then it gets super cool because we create a ripple effect, if you will, of co-regulation and of balance, rather than getting stuck in reactive patterns that lead to the conflict or the disconnection that we have heard that have happened between so many listeners of the show and the people in their lives. Here's a reflection you can do on your relationships. What are the relationships that you really want to nurture this year? Are there people that you're feeling disconnected from, or relationships that could use more of your presence or more of your understanding? How do you want to show up in those relationships? Maybe you want to be more patient or a better listener, or you want to communicate better or set better boundaries or show them who you are in a more authentic way. What are the patterns that are showing up in your interactions? Are you finding yourself shutting down? Are you becoming defensive? Or are you people pleasing and withdrawing into your perfectionistic tendencies? Are there specific situations or triggers that are leading you to those kinds of patterns? And how can you take responsibility for your actions and your reactions? How can you be more aware of your energy, your tone, your body language? And have you noticed in particular any moments when you have been dysregulated or reactive? And what could you do differently next time? And I imagine it seems new to you to think about your nervous system syncing up with someone else's nervous system in a way that helps calm both of you down. But what does that look like for you? Who brings that sense of calm, safety, or security for you? And how can you maybe nurture more of that in your relationships in the time to come? By reflecting on this, you're going to gain a little bit of clarity here on the relationship goals that you want to set for 2025. Whether it's going to be about creating a stronger relationship, addressing recurring or problematic patterns, or enhancing your ability to be calm in the presence of people who might be difficult, your mothers. And you're not doing this alone. One of the most powerful things that I've been reminded of by running Tuesday Group is that trauma wires you for self protection. It keeps you in a sense of isolation and struggle, but real healing, it happens with connection. As much as you work on understanding yourselves and finding your own tools, it's the relationships you build with other people that offer you the real power to heal. Tuesday Group has shown me that the work we do together is different, it's deeper, and it's more expansive than any one on one therapy session could achieve. And I'm really glad to be telling you that I'm going to continue to be offering this group. And I'm hoping to be able to offer a second group with evening hours once my calendar opens up at the time. But I'm not stopping there either. Group has inspired me to build an online community, a place where healing is going to happen in a way that complements Tuesday Group, but also stands alone for those of you who can attend or who might feel like group isn't the right fit. This is going to be an online community that is hopefully, if we do this right, different from any other. It's not going to be hosted on social media. It's for sure not going to be driven by any algorithms. Instead, it is going to be a space designed around what really matters: genuine connection, real conversations, and intentional healing. No more talking at you like I have to do on Instagram. This is going to be about talking with you, creating a supportive environment where you can interact with me, but so much more importantly, where you can start to interact with other daughters who already understand what you're going through so you can support one another in your recovery. We're going to be fostering community while being mindful of not letting trauma drama or trauma dumping take over. Clark and I are working intentionally to create this space so that it is grounded in healing, in recovery, and in your growth. Together, we're all going to be leaning into the power of connection, community, and conversation. It's going to be a place for all of you daughters recovering from childhood narcissistic abuse, a place where you can talk openly, share experiences, and learn together. And one way I'm trying to do this is coming together as a community to read the book Let Them by Mel Robbins. It's based on the Let Them theory. This is one of the ways I'm hoping we're going to be able to support one another and our growth in a meaningful and new way. If you're interested in joining an intentional healing community like this, I'm going to encourage you to join the waitlist. You're going to find a link to join that waitlist in the show notes for this episode. And as we close out of 2024 and step into 2025, let's commit to working on a better relationship with ourselves and with others. Healing, it doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through connection, community, and the conversations we have with one another. Here's to making 2025 a year of growth, support, and meaningful healing together. All of you are in this community of women around the world who are having these conversations with themselves. And I, for sure, most definitely, am in it with you too. Happy New Year. And bye for now. I do hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you have a question you'd like me to consider for the show, please do email me over at heather@daughtersnpd.com. You are always welcome to share your story or questions by recording yourself using the voice app on your phone. For best recording quality, please do record directly into your phone without using headphones or Bluetooth speakers. We're building an incredible community as well over on Instagram, and I'd love to see you over there too. You can find us at Daughters NPD. Lastly, if you love what you've been hearing here on Mayhem and have found the show helpful in your own trauma recovery, please do consider becoming a Mother Mayhem sponsor by purchasing Simple Scripts for Saying Hard Things. It's a resource I created that provides the right words for the hard conversations, and it covers life, love, and work. You'll find a link for that in the show notes. If you know another woman who needs this conversation in her life, please do share the show with her. Your reviews and social shares help spread the word, and I hope you'll consider doing so. Special thanks to Heather Clark for editing the show. She's in my head and knows what I meant to say when the words come out backwards. Thanks so much for your time today. As always, I'm in it with you. Bye for now.